Hey. Hi guys. Yukio, how are you doing, buddy?
Wow.
How are you doing? If you're doing well, so that you are doing great. You had a nice day. We need to continue our discussion. I have not forgotten Ori's body. I'm gonna talk about that again. Have you seen the video, by the way, Kyo? The one that I sent you? Hello Alpines, hello Paradox. How you doing, guys?
Hello.
Hiya, hi.
Oh, nice. That's cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah, this video by Ryan is incredible. This guy is very, very, very cool. Nice. If you feel lighter, that's cool. Nice. Today was not that much of a productive day. I got some feedbacks. Just got some feedbacks maybe 30 minutes ago from my client. Wants me to do something in emergency. Seems that they are not that much in a hurry. But today, I built this wonderful thing. Nice brass weight. Probably weighs something like 3.5 kilos. Something like that. It's a brick. I love it. This thing's so great. Yeah, mechanical keyboard, of course. I'm in the mechanical keyboard building hobby. I like building them. A pretty nice object, and this one is like it's the KBD fan Odin from this summer's pre-order. I got it. It's pretty cool. I'm very satisfied with it. Yeah, they make a cool sound. Let me give you just a quick preview. Let me just disable the noise gate for a second. We're gonna have some sounds. Just give me a sec. Just disabling that right now. Hello. Should be good. Anyways. It sounds pretty nice. Anyways, let's start our reading with Mastery by Robert Greene. And let's finish this very, very long series that we had with Mastery and how to use that for artists. So, 2 days ago, we talked about how to find your obsession, your passion, your calling, your life task. To return to your origins, find the perfect niche, avoid the false path, let go of the past, and find your way back if you got lost. We also talked about how to be the ideal apprentice. There are 3 stages: the observation mode, this is the passive one, when you are learning; skill acquisition, the practice mode, when you are trying; the experimentation, the active mode, when you are basically developing your own thing. You need to value learning over money, you need to keep expanding your horizon, you need to revert to a feeling of inferiority and be with people better than you. You need to trust the process of people better than you, because they know stuff that you don't. You need to move towards resistance and pain. You You need to apprentice yourself in failure. You need to combine the how and the what. You need to advance through trial and error. And this new age, you basically need to not follow a rigid path. Yesterday, we talked about how to learn optimally from your mentor. Let me just decrease the sound of the music. There we go. So, to learn optimally from your mentor, you need to choose a mentor according to your needs and inclinations. You need to gaze deep into the mentor's mirror. You need to transfigure their ideas. And then create a back and forth dynamic between you and them. And finally, this was the biggest part of the stream. We talked about how to cultivate social intelligence. Hello, Petit Pois, how are you doing? Hope you are doing well. Then we talked about social intelligence. So basically reading people, understanding the 7 deadly realities that the book is talking about, which is envy, conformism, rigidity, self-obsessiveness, laziness, flightiness, and passive aggression. We talked about a lot of different strategies to acquire social intelligence, speak through your walk, have the appropriate persona, see yourself as you see others, and suffer fools gladly. We talked about how to train that, so basically going outside, going to meetings, trying to see people as basically some kind of game. When you see someone, see that as a game to read their thoughts, to do your best to figure out what they want, what they are thinking about, stuff like that. Today we are talking about the 2 last steps. The first one is about awakening the dimensional mind. This is the creative active. And the second part will be how to fuse the intuitive with the rational. And this is mastery. So, awaken the dimensional mind, the creative active. This might sound very woo magic. Bear with me. The goal here is to awaken your dimensional mind, as the book calls. To think beyond the typical constraints of your skill and keep growing and learning. Not to get stuck in your ways or conform to the norms of your time or your practice. During childhood, our minds are totally open. We experience the world using all our senses and anything seems possible. Yet, as we grow up, we start to limit ourselves with rules and assumptions. We, again, discussed about that on the previous days. Masters have a dimensional mind that combines the childlike spirit with focused and disciplined learning. Basically, you keep that sense of wonder and curiosity and you really want to learn more. You combine that with discipline. This in turn requires deep knowledge on the subject and also the ability to apply knowledge in flexible and original ways. That's why we were talking about being creative. Learn the rules of a field during your apprenticeship without being limited by them, and actively seek to challenge and reshape the rules we've learned. Keep expanding the skills, knowledge, experience by exploring new fields, making new connections, and experimenting with new concepts. This is basically the learn the rules, excel at them, master them, and do whatever the hell you want. So, step 1. The creative task. The task that you choose to work on must have an obsessive element. This is part of the childlike wonder. Like the life task, it must connect to something deep within you. It is the choice where you direct your energy that makes the master. That's why we asked the questions yesterday and the day before yesterday about how to be sure that this is your thing. Hello, Oscar, how are you doing, buddy? Hope you're doing well. But this is basically you making sure that you are investing your time and energy on something that truly matters and is worth it. You don't want to do that on your weekly obsession. You want to do that on your obsession since you are a kid, basically. This is all about basically working on that obsessive element and considering it as a benefit and not as a sickness. Because a lot of people are telling ourselves, hey, you're obsessed with that. This is bad. Sometimes obsession can be bad if it's unhealthy. Like being obsessed about a person, about a specific activity that is not productive. Like, I don't know, smoking or something like that. This might not be the best. But if you are obsessed about getting better, learning a specific field, and you're able to channel that towards something creative and constructive, that's good. Your emotional commitment to what you are doing will determine your success. Choose something that appeals to your sense of unconventionalness and that has a hint of rebellion. It will keep you emotionally engaged. I'm gonna reread that because it's very important. Your emotional commitment to what you are doing will determine your success. Choose something that appeals to your sense of unconventionalness and has a hint of rebellion. It will keep you emotionally engaged. This is all about being willing to learn, but also feeling kinda unsatisfied and being willing to challenge the established rules. That's why when you are done with the practice phase, you are done observing, you are done practicing, now you need to rebel against that. And to, again, as we said previously, expand the boundaries, challenge the comfort zone. And if you are emotionally engaged, and you are truly in love with what you are doing, you will want to push the boundaries further naturally. Keep two things in mind when picking your task. It must be realistic while still being at the limits of your reach so that you stretch for it. That's exactly what we said. And you must let go of your need for comfort and security. If you need everything in your life to be simple and safe, this open-ended nature of the task will fill you with anxiety. If you are worried about what others might think about how your position in the group might be jeopardized, then you will never really create anything. So basically, you need to say to everyone, fuck what you are thinking. Fuck about what you are thinking about me. I'm doing my stuff. It works. As long as it works, it proves me right. Do I think I'm a genius? No. Do I think I'm always right? No. Do I think it works? Yeah. Do I think it can be better? Yes. I'm gonna repeat that sentence. If you're worried about what others might think about how your position in the group might be jeopardized, then you would never really create anything. This is basically exactly something we said in the 10x rules. If people are starting to complain about you doing the work and working so hard, it means that you're doing something right.
Wow.
That's good. Make sense for now? Second part. So this was the first part of the dimensional mind. So first it was about the creative part, and now it's about being strategic. To combine the creative and active. And learning social intelligence is part of being active and strategic, because you need to use that on the good people. People that will help you doing what you want to do. The mind will naturally tighten up unless it's constantly stretched out. Use these 5 strategies to keep your mind open and flexible. This is very important because we know it. The brain is like a muscle. The more you exercise that, the stronger it becomes and the more flexible it becomes. Even people with brain surgery, they can reorganize the brain so well, and the neurons, they can get journey if the surgery is done well. I'm not talking about a traumatic cranial experience like a nice brain surgery. Generally, they get back to their full capacity very fast because the brain is very plastic. But for that, you need to keep it flexible and to exercise it. If you develop the habit of not challenging your ways of thinking, your comfort zone, it will become more rigid and you will become more reluctant to change. So first, cultivate negative capability. You need to learn to endure and embrace mysteries and uncertainties. This is exactly what we said about anxiety. anxiety, the only role of anxiety is to basically keep you safe. It's like a natural reaction to something that is uncertain or scary, basically out of your control with uncertain outcomes. So your brain, because your brain's only role is to keep you alive at whatever cost, your brain doesn't give a single shit about you being happy. Your brain will generate anxiety for you to react and to, if possible, avoid that painful situation. Because remember, the most primal Viking paradigm. Welcome, buddy. Nice to see you. Do I know you? Welcome. Yeah. Our instinct has two missions. Running towards pleasure, running away from pain. And the stronger of the two is running away from pain. So anxiety is pain because it's already experiencing a painful situation that might or might not happen. So this is the strongest one. But if you can recognize anxiety, unless it's like there is a fire, of course, don't run into it. But generally, when you feel anxiety about something you should do, like going outside, meeting some people, sending an email or something like that, this is exactly what you should do. This is a signal that you're stressed about that, but at the same time that you need to do that. So generally, the more you're afraid of something, the more you should do it. And if you can trick your brain to do that, you will achieve a lot of stuff. This is exactly unlocking and supporting. Thanks, buddy. Thank you. So basically, cultivate negative capability. Learn to endure and embrace mysteries and uncertainties. Because when you are uncertain, this is an opportunity for you to learn. Next one, very interesting one. Allow for serendipity. Move outside your normal realm of comfort and interest. Explore far and wide while staying open and avoiding jumping to conclusions. Let yourself be surprised and discover new opportunities. Keep a notebook with you at all times. We talked about that. And record ideas that appear to you. Yeah, the more you're afraid of something, the more you should do it. Exactly. Social anxiety, asking that girl or that guy out, calling for a raise, asking for that job, asking for feedback, sending an email to companies to get a job, stuff like that. The more you're afraid of it, the more you should do it. Because in any case, it's going to be hard. So why making it harder by not doing that and thinking about that all day long? You're drinking the poison and wishing the external world to suffer instead of you. No. Just drink it. Worst case scenario, you get rejected, which is not bad. Again, it's just an opportunity to learn. So yeah, so it's basically... Never assume that you know everything. Always assume that anyone has at least one thing to teach you. Just think that everyone knows at least one thing that you don't. As simple as that. Don't think that because this technique works, it will always work and it's the best one. No, there's always better. It's just that. And feel free to experiment too. Third point. Alternate the mind through the current. That's what the book says. The current is a constant dialogue between your thoughts and reality. If we go through this process deeply enough, we come in contact with a theory that explains something far beyond the capability of our limited sense. This is already switching towards instinct. But basically, you need to always compare your thoughts and how it applies in reality. And that's why when you have those people criticizing you for what you are doing and for you doing the work, and you are proving them that you are right with your result, it pisses them off. Because this is basically the current. This is basically the current. This is a dialogue between their feelings and reality. And reality is that your things work and they are lazy fucks. And they hate that. Had a massive anxiety period as we approached the end of the semestrial project. Was effing scared because it was very delayed on my work and I couldn't get to catch. I know the feeling. I did it anyways, I even get to hand everything finished and it was okay satisfied. No, I know that I don't want that delay to happen. Yeah. Learn to your lesson. You know that meme? I'm gonna share my screen. You know that meme of procrastination? The work begins. You say, no, I have the time. You panic. You do all the work while crying. And then you have a deadline. This is something we talked about with the Parkinson's law. Basically, whether you have 2 weeks or 2 hours to do one task, it will expand to fill everything. And this is why you need to have an obsession, because an obsession fills your time. And when you don't have an obsession, your time will be filled with shit that isn't productive. If you fill all your time with your obsession in a creative way and constructive way, that's where you're basically doing the work all the time and never crying. But yeah, you learned the lesson. And don't worry, we all went through that. It's probably not the first time that you will go through that. But yeah, procrastination makes things work. It's like burying your head in the sand. And basically you have a task, you know it's going to be hard. You delay that, so you know it's going to be harder, so you want to delay that even more until you reach a point of no return. You have no choice and you do all the work while crying. I know the feeling. I've seen that in many people in the class for the composition course. Next one, alter your perspective. Try to see the subject or problem from different angles. Look at how instead of the what. Look at the how instead of the what. Shift from the macro to the micro, or vice versa. Look for what's weird about it. Look for what's absent instead of what's present. Look that didn't bark. Basically, that's why it's very interesting to hang out with like-minded people that are trying to become masters at the same thing. Like artists, technically, some of them are good at realism, some are good at environment, some are good at characters, some are good at cartoony style and such. Everyone likes art, but everyone is trying to solve or to transfigure what you have there on a sheet of paper through your hand, maybe a keyboard and a computer, with a different technique. Some of them will do that with characters, some of them will do that with line art, some of them will do that with 3D and stuff like that. So basically, they are all watching at the same problem, how to transfigure what we have there onto a screen. And they are approaching that from a different angle. That's also why teaching is so good, because when you teach, every student has a different mindset and framework than you. So they are all approaching a problem that you are used to approach and used to deal with from a different angle. And you have to go from your perspective to their, to fix their problem and explain to them how to fix it. That's why teaching at some point is so freaking good. I like to add something in the process. This is like the 3 steps. Learn it, do it, teach it. To me, real mastery is when you are teaching something. Then revert to primal intelligence. Try to think beyond language, get visual or physical, use diagram and models. This is more catered toward the scientific use, but with art, we are already doing that all the time. Step 3, the creative breakthrough, tension and insight. There's a quote. 2 quotes then. At a particular high point of tension, they let go for a moment. This could be as simple as stopping work and going to sleep, or it could mean deciding to take a break, or to temporarily work on something else. What almost inevitably happens in such moments is that the solution, the perfect idea for completing the work, comes to them. After 10 long years of incessant thinking on the problem of general relativity, Albert Einstein decided one evening to simply give up. He had had enough. It was beyond him. He went to bed early, and when he awoke, the solution suddenly came to him. The feeling that we have endless time to complete our work has an insidious and debilitating effect on our minds. Our attention and thoughts become diffused. Our lack of intensity makes it hard for the brain to jolt into a higher gear. The connections do not occur. For this purpose, you must always try to work with deadlines, whether real or manufactured. Oh. Nice. Nice to see you, buddy. Nice to see you, buddy. So yeah, basically, the TLDR of that part is you need to take a break first, and also you need to have deadlines. You can go back to the 6th video I did, the 6th episode about goals and motivation. We talked about the fact that one of the first things you need to do when you are setting up a goal is to have a deadline and a metric. If you don't have a deadline, you have plenty of time. And again, Parkinson's law, it will fill up all the time that you give. And my opinion would be to get short deadlines. Something I'm doing currently when I'm working for clients, especially work I don't like, is that I'm putting myself on a timer. And it's like, okay, I have to fix the sky. I'm going to give myself 10 minutes to do that. It's going to be not perfect, but let's say 80% done. And if I hadn't given myself a timer, it would have taken me maybe 1 hour to fix that sky. Perfectly. While in 10 minutes, I can fix it at 80%. I can spend 500 minutes just refining it. It's always extracting the Pareto's law that 80% of the effect is the result of 20% of the effort. So basically, you can trick yourself to use the Pareto's law all the time with deadlines. Basically, that's what I'm doing with the sky, for example. I'm giving myself 20% of the time that was allowed on that. I was like three quarters of an hour, maybe 1 hour. Okay, let's do that in 10 minutes. 80% is on in 10 minutes. Cool. This allows me to save so much time. I had 2 characters to do. I'm shit at characters, so I had to photo bash them. I gave myself 10 minutes per characters. And I never thought before doing that, I was not thinking I would be able to do that fast. My characters were okay. Not that great, but okay. So yeah, time yourself. Just time yourself all the time. But if you think that you have all the time, basically it's like putting something to tomorrow, and tomorrow is always the busiest day of the week. And tomorrow becomes never. Make sense for now? Then let's talk about the emotional pitfalls. Certain pitfalls will be most likely to threaten you along the way to mastery. The first one is complacency. Yeah, we've talked about that during composition class. Still have a hard time applying it, but trying on my composition on what? Wanted to push it more. It's frustrating to have to stop. That's what you can do. Let's say you give yourself 30 minutes. You lay out the overall composition in a shitty way in like 5 minutes. Boom, you have done 80% of the work. Now, with maybe 5 other minutes, you just have to clean that. I wouldn't advise to do the composition homework in 10 minutes per frame. Maybe more 30 minutes per frame. You can still play with that and force yourself to time yourself to have a time constraint that is way tighter than what you are comfortable with, to force you out of your comfort zone. And eventually you get used to that. You build a tough skin, and what was taking you 30 minutes before is taking you 10 minutes usually now. So maybe you can squish that even more to maybe 5 minutes then. That's how you expand boundaries. In some way, I'm not mean that some people are timing themselves on homework because this is smart and you need to sleep. So I'm judging what I see. I don't know how much time you spent on it, and if you had good grades, which part I you had, you got decent grades from what I recall. This is fine. You have done the job. There is the work that was expected. Can be better, of course. It was good enough. At least you managed to sleep. I hope so. That's good. So yeah, the first one, complacency. Constantly remind yourself of how little you truly know and how mysterious the world remains. That's exactly what we said. Always assume that anyone that you know, everyone around you has at least one thing to teach you about. One thing that they know that you don't. The second emotional pitfall is conservatism. If you gain any kind of attention or success for your work in this phase, you face the great danger of creeping conservatism. Make creativity rather than comfort your goal, and you will ensure far more success for the future. I love to read that right now. This is not something I've prepped. This is some extract from different resumes and stuff like that, on summaries of book. So I'm discovering the text in real time, even though I have read the book. That's exactly something that I've said in the mentorship that I've been recording for the last 2 weeks. It's basically, I'm explaining right from the start, if you're watching this in general, it means that you either want to change career very fast, because you're in a very unbearable situation right now and you want something better, or else you're very impatient to get your first job, or else you have a student loan and time is running out. In any case, you are fighting. It's basically a race against time. So we need to focus on efficiency rather than comfort. That's why in this entire mentorship, I'm never talking about anything comfortable, and I'm aware that what I'm thinking about is making people very uncomfortable. But that's with this discomfort that you will expand your comfort zone. Calm and serenity never makes you stronger. It's always in chaotic stage, even though you cannot handle that for long. It's always in chaotic stage that you will evolve the most. So you need to have a healthy balance between both. Chaotic stage to either natural or stage or manufactured by you. A time constraint, a deadline is a chaotic element. That's an example. But you need to do that to change yourself, and then you need to allow yourself for a bit of calm and rest to just recover. So yeah, make creativity rather than comfort your goal, and you will ensure far more success for the future. Next one is dependency. Very, very important. In the apprenticeship phase, you relied upon mentors and those above you to supply you with the necessary standards of judgment for your field. But if you are not careful, you will carry this need for approval over into the next phase. We can get back a bit to imposter syndrome in that case. At some point, you need to accept the fact that you know at least as much as your mentor, and now you need to fly on your own wings. Next, impatience. The best way to neutralize our natural impatience is to cultivate a kind of pleasure in pain. We talked about that too. Like an athlete, you come to enjoy rigorous practice, pushing past your limits and resisting the easy way out. Something that I'm still struggling with, for example, is watching social media all the time, even though I don't care about Twitter and don't care about Facebook. It's just a habit, or just refreshing YouTube or my emails when I'm very bored. When I'm working on stuff that I really don't like to do, which happens quite a lot at the moment because I'm working for some clients just to save a bunch of money, to launch social media and sponsor content and stuff like that, and build my reach, basically. But still, the work kind of sucks sometimes. And I'm always fighting to not watch social media, to not just refresh YouTube. For whatever reason, I'm not even expecting videos, just to have to break away from that. Bury my hand in the sand. And again, something you can do is challenge yourself and see that as a game. It's like, hey, I'm gonna have my timer. A second one, like a 1 hour timer. I'm not allowed to watch social media for 1 hour. And then once you reach out for that 1 hour, you say, I'm gonna challenge myself to not watch social media again for 1 hour. And I'm not launching it right now, even if I have the right to do so. You see that as a game. That's just an example, but it can also be, let's say you are working at the gym. It's when you want to make that last push. It's not even physical, it's just in your head. It's like, I'm in pain. And you just want to push it so hard that you manage to do it. We have a way bigger tolerance to pain than what we allow ourselves to have. Because that's normal. Our brain is here to protect us. So, of course, when there is pain, our brain freaks out. And our brain will never allow for us to reach the point of rupture. So we cannot never know our point of rupture until we really reached it. And the more painful it is, the more we are tempted to not push forward. It's not rupture yet. Rupture is really when your body doesn't even react. For the gym example. So yeah, that's it. What else? Yeah, I wanted to say something else about that. Yeah, but basically pain is sapping the willpower. It's exactly when you feel cold. When you are cold outside and you are still 10 minutes away from home and you know that you have 10 minutes in the blizzard or in the very cold, you're freezing cold, or it's raining and you feel super bad because of that. See how it saps the willpower instantly? Personally, I hate being cold. I really hate that. And when I'm outside and it's so cold, sometimes I have the thought like, maybe I should just drop and die. It would be easier, because I would never do that. But it's incredible to see how pain saps your willpower. Same one day I remember I was doing my gym. I was very motivated. And that day I dropped a disc, just a simple 1 kilo disc on my feet. I broke 2 fingers. And just the pain out of that instantly broke all my mood to keep up with my session. It was not even about legs, so I could have stayed. I spent like 2 hours on the couch and I was like, fuck no, I'm not touching the bench press ever again today. Just because of pain. And anxiety can be pain. Anxiety is pain. It's experiencing a painful situation that might or might not happen. The next one is grandiosity. What must ultimately motivate you is the work itself and the process. Public attention is actually a nuisance and a distraction. Such an attitude is the only defense against falling into the trap set by our ego. Yeah, like waiting for a for hours. Or same, when I'm waiting for an Amazon package, I'm getting crazy and doing nothing. When I was waiting for my keyboard box to come today, I was already awakened maybe 2 hours before, and I was just sitting in my bed, unable to sleep, and I was waiting. I was like, I want it! It would have not got it earlier, of course. But impatience. Fucking impatience. The package from a keyboard got delayed. Just by 1 day. And even in the night at 4 a.m., just before going to bed, because I was working very late the previous night, I was checking my phone, the FedEx tracking. It was like, oh my god, it's from Belgium and now it's in Paris. And in my head, I was like, you fucking dumbass. It would just checking that will not get it faster to you. Just fucking wait. There's nothing you can do. The grandiosity is just your ego. So don't do that for fame. Don't do that for like. Don't do like for money first. It will come as a sub-product and as a natural result of you being successful. It will come way faster if you do not care about it. Flexibility, that's the next one. You must know your field inside and out, and yet be able to question its most entrenched assumptions. Basically, always be willing to change your mind on something if proven wrong. Always be willing to step out of your comfort zone. Now, let's talk about the strategies for the creative active phase. There are 9 different strategies you can use for enhancing the creative active phase. First one is called the authentic voice. Anyone who will spend 10 years absorbing the techniques and conventions of their field, trying them out, mastering them, exploring and personalizing them, will inevitably find their authentic voice and give birth to something unique and expressive. This is like the 10 year of practice or the 10,000 hours rule. So basically, if you are doing something for 10 years straight, not all the time, but keeping up with something for over 10 years, it means that it's something that truly matters to you in general. Second one, the fact of great yield. Better to look into 10 such facts with only one yielding a great discovery, and to look into 20 ideas that bring success but have trivial implications. You are the supreme hunter, ever alert, eye scanning the landscape, the fact that will expose a once-hidden reality with profound consequence. So basically, even if you try 100 times and it fails, it's not a reason to give up. As we say, Michael Jordan was not even appreciated in his basketball club. Steven Spielberg didn't even graduate from movie making school. He sent the Schindler's List as a graduation project. Einstein was an academic failure. J.K. Rowling, for example, the richest person in the whole UK. She got shut down by basically every publisher in the UK. Except one. Imagine those publishers today, now that they think, oh my god, I am a publisher that shut down J.K. Rowling for Harry Potter. Imagine how stupid you will be. Same if you have seen Bohemian Rhapsody, the movie, with that producer that refuses to produce the Bohemian Rhapsody album. Like, what the... This guy might be still in pain today. Okay, next one, mechanical intelligence. In the end, you win through superior craftsmanship, not marketing. I will kind of disagree with that, but let's bear with the book. This craftsmanship involves creating something with an elegant, simple structure, getting the most out of your materials, a high form of creativity. There are 2 points. The first one, I would always say is that if you have even an average product, but a very good marketing, you will still make a fuck ton of money. If you have an amazing product, but no marketing or shitty marketing, you won't sell anything. If you have a fantastic product and fantastic marketing, you are making billions of dollars. You don't trust me? Just get an example. The Big Mac, McDonald's. Objectively, it's garbage. It's a health disaster. It's a calorie bomb. It's made with a fuck ton of chemicals. Taste. Okay, but I would prefer a real burger, to be honest. Yet, McDonald's is having an incredible gargantuan marketing. Every McDonald's restaurant is placed at a perfectly strategic location in town. It's very accessible. The sales funnel is pretty flawless. It's like in 2 minutes you order and 2 minutes after you have your stuff. You can even have it almost instantly. So the sales funnel is very good. So they have crazy good marketing, crazy good sales funnel, shitty product. They are still the richest restaurant companies in the world. But if you have a very good product and a very good marketing, that's good. And what you can do is start become a master at marketing once you have your product. That's personally what I'm trying to do right now and to learn. Really learning about that. Because I know my product is nice. I'm not even considering selling it right now. I just want people to demand for it. Be on their knees asking for it, basically. Not for my ego, but just because only then I will know there is a real demand. that it will be legit. For now, let's just drop the gold nugget. No problem. The second point is this craftsmanship involves creating something with an elegant, simple structure, getting the most out of your materials, a high form of creativity. This is almost minimalistic. And to me, true minimalism, I'm not speaking about the people with nothing in their house and sleeping on the floor. To me, this is kind of bad. It's kind of cool to have not superficial stuff, but at least the bare minimal. But minimalism, in the way I mean it, is not just the bare minimal, but rather than there is nothing left to remove. So the reciprocal way of thinking about that is if there is nothing else to remove, everything inside is super important. We talked about that during the composition class. I was like, if it's not important, remove it. You don't care. Just keep only the substantific ether of the of what you have. If you want a very good game about minimalism, you can check out Journey, for example. If you can get the art book, even as a PDF, that's exactly what they explain. It's like we started with a lot of stuff, we remove, so and we got only what matters. You know the walls. Everything that you see on screen has a purpose. Absolutely everything. That's how you should think about a picture. Everything in a picture has a purpose. Especially if it's digital, because everyone had to model the element, place it, texture it, light it, make sure it works, it's not bugged, so they spent a lot of time. And I wouldn't have done that if it was useless. So everything you see in a screen, like in a Pixar movie, in a Disney movie, something like that, means something. As its importance. Next strategy, natural powers. Give yourself open-ended time and focus. Develop a wide understanding of your field. Never settle into complacency. And embrace flawless as a virtue in itself. Imagine yourself years ahead, looking back on the work you've completed. This is basically what we've said with improvement. We're going to talk about the compound effect. This is going to be the next book we're going to talk about. But basically, when you are improving, it starts very slow. You don't see the result, and one day start to take off, and it's parabolic. And once it's taking off, that's when you look back at what you did 6 months before, you're like, holy shit, I've improved a lot. You see that all the time when you are going to the gym. For like 3 months, you don't see the results, and one day you see yourself in the mirror, and you're like, and so that's exactly that. You need to be patient, and you need to do that for the sake of doing it and learning, not for the sake of seeing the result immediately. The open field. You need to create a space to build something new. By creating something new, you will create your own audience and attain the ultimate position of power in culture. In marketing, this is called the blue ocean. There are red oceans where a lot of people are fighting to sell the same product. Example, Samsung and Nokia, back in the day of cell phones. This was a red ocean with BlackBerry trying to steal everyone. So everyone was trying to steal each other's public. And one day Apple came out with this. This was a blue ocean because there was no concurrence. This is exactly the same. That's why when you are doing a portfolio, don't do another Last of Us 2 wannabe portfolio, because everyone is seeing that and this is a red ocean. Do your own shit. Try to make it similar to something, to explain to a company that it's similar enough for you to fit the mold, but create your own stuff. This way you have a blue ocean. Next up, the high hand. Your project or the problem you are solving should always be connected to something larger, a bigger question, an overarching idea, inspiring goal. Whenever your work begins to feel stale, You must return to the larger purpose and goal that impelled you in the first place. Some people are very good in doing in red oceans. But if you want to be very good in red oceans, basically what you do is every people that got burnt and frustrated in the red ocean market, you get them and you showed, instead of showing them an improvement on what they have, show them a new opportunity. Let's say you want to gain or lose weight. You have tens of thousands of programs online. Imagine you see online advertising by someone you cannot trust telling you, hey, this method is the same as Joe, but better. Instead, imagine the same person that you trust is telling you, hey, this technique is pretty brand new. It has nothing to do with anything that you know. And it works. Instead of, it's better than Joe, and it works. It's a new opportunity. It's a new way to do that. It will alleviate you from all the past mistakes. And all your frustration will be gone because you are starting fresh on something new. That's why you want to sell new opportunities to people. About the high hand, your project, the problem you are solving should always be connected to something larger. This is why you need to connect deeply to your first thing first, and then see the archetypes behind that. I'm gonna give my two examples. My owl project, it's tied to me, of course, to what I've been experiencing. I'm trying to kind of do an exorcism of what I've been going through when I was a kid. Whether it was good or bad, that's not the subject. But I see that the story behind my owl project is way bigger than me. The archetypes behind is not just me. It's basically everyone with a missing parent. Everyone who grew up without a dad, or without a mom, or as an orphan. Everyone who grew up alone. So this is basically connecting to something way larger than me. And as it kind of worked on me, in my head, without any ego, I'm like, hey, if I'm able to ever one day deliver that to people, maybe it could help other people to get out of some emotional turmoil that I went through. I managed to escape, I don't really know how, without guidance. So this will help them to guide them. This will guide them to escape from that. This is a way bigger goal than me, or just my tiny ego. Same with teaching people. It could be, yeah, I want money and stuff like that, but the first thing I say in the rules is that if you were a student of mine in class, don't send me money. It's not that I don't want money, but because who wouldn't want money? And honestly, I think I could monetize pretty well what I'm doing live. But I'm doing that because I want to help people and build a network with people. With very motivated people that kick each other in the ass. That will be the next generation industry network. That will contribute to bring something good to the industry, in my opinion. This is only my vision, of course. But what I want to see in the industry is, instead of seeing sociopaths and people filled with anxiety, depression, and imposter syndrome, I want to see happy people that are free from the pressure. I can get back to getting some stuff that are creative, because what I see right now in the industry is that creativity is fucking dead in most of the projects. Not all of them, of course. But every time I'm watching E3, most of them, I'm like,
Why are we still here? Just to suffer every night.
because it's so boring. I want the industry to be filled with Ori's Journeys, Dark Souls, Bloodborns, Destinies, Limbos, Insides, games like that bring something to the table, or games that are very well written like Fallout 4 or Skyrim. This is the kind of stuff that I want to see. I don't want to see the next Assassin's Creed. I mean, it's beautiful, but now that Rafael Lacoste is not here anymore, it's going to be shit. Mark my words. Not wishing Ubisoft to fail. I think it would be not as good now that Rafael Lacoste is gone. I don't want to see the next FIFA or Call of Duty to be always the same trendy shit with microtransaction. I want to see Doom Eternal. I want to see games that are made by people that are passionate, feeling good, filled with great ideas, with visions, and getting back to producing finished pieces on the first day instead of having you to download a 200 gigabytes game and then having to download a 25 gigabytes patch on day one. I don't want to see that. I want to see the finished product already, as it was 10 years ago, before Steam, basically. And to do that, you need people that are not crunching, that are good in their mind, because if they are feeling bad, if they are distracted, they'll do mistakes, and that's not their fault. That's normal. If they are too busy thinking about their problem, they would not be able to think about other people's problem and channel that into games and movies. I was saying that to a friend recently, but I was watching a metric ton of money of movies in the past, like even 5 years ago. I had a car to see as many movies as I wanted, and now I'm not watching anything. The last movie I watched was Joker. Before that, it was Bohemian Rhapsody and The Lion King, the realistic Lion King. Before that, Bohemian Rhapsody, Lion King. I got forced to watch Valerian with my mom and my sister, and even though I got offered the ticket, I wanted to get my money back and my time back. And before that, it was Blade Runner. And those are the only films I've been watching in 5 years. Because all of us, I feel it's shit. Of course, there's a few exceptions like Dune and stuff like that. Arrivals. It's been a while since there has been a Harry Potter or Lord of the Ring-like movie. The Pathless is fantastic. And for that, I think we need artists that are not focusing on their shitty life and shitty mess in their mind, but rather are thinking about other people's problems and how to fix that. That's my bigger goal. I'm assuming that everyone being an artist, you either want to share your vision to the world because you think it might bring something positive to the table, or else you want to contribute to those great projects. I would love to if it was possible to work on Skyrim, I would love, because this game has been incredible and is still amongst the most memorable video games ever. Yeah, Joker was incredible. So yeah, that's the bigger vision. You need not to forget that. There's a difference between I want to work on Skyrim because it's my favorite game, and I want to work on Skyrim because it's one of the best game ever. Period. Objectively, people are still playing that 10 years ago. 10 years after it's released. There's been in at least 10 different editions of the game because there's still demand for that. And every time Bethesda is talking, every time it's like, where is the Elder Scrolls 6? There's a difference between I want to work on Skyrim because it's my favorite game, and I want to work on the Elder Scrolls because it's probably the most wonderful, amongst the most wonderful video game franchise in the world. It brings so much joy to so many people. Look at the Skyrim grandma. Look at artists that got discovered thanks to Skyrim, like Maluka, the singer. Imagine how many people got saved from permanent solution to temporary problems, let's say, thanks to Skyrim and to the dream it provides, the escapism it provides. That's the peak of vision. Same with movies. Imagine how many people got their life changed thanks to the Lord of the Rings, or Star Wars, or Harry Potter, or stuff like that. That's the bigger goal. Next. I lost. There we go. The next strategy after the high hand is the evolutionary hijack. What constitutes true creativity is the openness and adaptability of our spirit. It's just basically getting out of the comfort zone. It's basically, that's why he's mentioning evolutionary hijack. It's basically in any given situation across history of living creatures, in any given situation, you have two options. You can either adapt or disappear. If you are not adapting, you are condemning yourself to disappear. Next one, dimensional thinking. You are not in a hurry. You prefer the holistic approach. You look at the object of study from as many angles as possible, giving your thoughts added dimensions. You assume that the parts of any will interact with one another and cannot be completely separated. In your mind, you get as close to the complicated truth and reality of your object of study as possible. In the process, great mysteries will unravel themselves before your eyes. It's basically, you need to accept going through trial and errors. And eventually, even if you fail, you just discover a new way that it doesn't work. And this is already good. Next one, alchemical creativity and the unconscious. Your task as a creative thinker is to actively explore the unconscious and contradictory parts of your personality, and to examine similar contradictions and tensions in the world at large. This is again going back to problem solving and social intelligence. That's the end of that part. Does that make sense? Press one in the chat if it makes sense. The next part will be fusing the intuitive with the rational, aka mastery. There's a higher form of intelligence that enables us to grasp the intangible and predict trends, much like a sixth sense. Masters often talk of seeing something more. Chess master Bobby Fischer could see forces that predicts how a chess game will unfold. Albert Einstein had a mental image of how the universe worked and that others couldn't conceive. This intelligence is cultivated through years of intense and persistent immersion in a field. You acquire such a forward understanding of the intricacies in that field that you can combine the rational and intuitive to grasp the complex realities, a process that typically takes 15 to 20 years. This is basically exactly what we said yesterday about social intelligence. When you trust your instinct and you know that until proven otherwise, it's probably true about that person. It's basically when you have to teach something. We are talking about that all the time with the other teachers at New Age, but basically when you are teaching something, it's so demanding for the teacher because you need to be a perfect master of your tool. Let's say you teach Photoshop. You need to perfectly know the fundamentals behind that. It's so challenging because it needs to be perfect. Otherwise, you cannot teach that. You need to be perfectly understanding that because it allows you to become kind of omniscient and see the whole picture. Or at the same time, this is like when you are playing Overwatch or Valorant. Some players are so good that they can know when the enemy Zarya has ultimate, where's the enemy Genji, and have kind of omniscient vision on the game. And this is exactly what you want to have on your field. And this takes a lot of time. It starts generally way before 10 to 20 years, but to really become omniscient and effortless about that takes probably 15 to 20 years. When I see my personal mentor, this guy is one of the biggest experts at social intelligence that I've ever seen. He's been practicing that for 22 years now. At least 20 years. So yeah, that's why he's a master. So here are some strategies for attaining mastery. First one, connect to your environment, primal powers. The ability to connect deeply to your environment is the most primal, in many ways the most powerful form of mastery the brain can bring us. Basically, on this one, you need to have a space to practice. I would almost say this practice space is like a sacred place. I have an example right now. I'm gonna share a bit the webcam. Sorry for the mess. I was not expecting to show something else, but this is basically my studio. This is a dedicated room. There is my desk. There is my gym, my home gym equipment. That's it. Then nearby there is my bedroom. Yeah, it's a bit messy. It's a bit messy right now, but I've been doing stuff all week long. It's getting a bit messy, but I clean that for sure. But basically, this is my sacred space. There's also something else that I do all the time. Is that I have a bunch of LEDs, of LED, around my desk. And every time I'm walking, I should have done that. I don't have the habit yet of activating it when I'm streaming. But every time I'm walking, I'm opening that. Every time I'm with this blue light, I'm in walk mode. Thank you. Let's get something warm for the full stream. There we go. Oh yeah, this is like my sacred space. And this was non-negotiable when I searched for my apartment. I wanted to have a dedicated room for work. And also for gym if I could. Thanks. I built it myself. My dad and my granddad built it for the cat. And yeah, this is why having a dedicated place for your practice is good. I know that sometimes it's kind of hard when you're a student or something like that. But still, just having a place that you feel good in. That's why, for example, I wanted to have a nice desk mat that inspires me. I always love everything related to divination and stuff like that, to esoteric stuff. So I wanted to have it. I wanted to have a nice keyboard. And generally there's my cat nearby. He's currently sleeping elsewhere. And yeah, just be in a place that inspires you some way. Basically, when you see your workplace, you're like, wow, I want to walk. I still need to clean my desk because it's a bit messy again. And I'm currently reworking my setup. Yeah, same. Same for my art cave. I'm still building it, by the way. I still need to change my monitors. By the way, if someone in France wants a Cintiq Pro 32-inch, I'm selling it. I'm willing to do a price for people from the Discord and from the stream. I'm desperately trying to sell it. Cintiq Pro 32 inch 4K, the biggest one. It costs 3.5k euros. I would be willing to sell it for between 2 and 2.2k euros for someone in the stream. If you want it. It's brand new, by the way, not a scratch. I drew on it maybe for 1 week. It's just used as a monitor now. Just in case. Just in case. It's expensive. It was my biggest mistake when I bought it. Biggest mistake. Not that it's bad, it's excellent. Especially if you are drawing and if you come from a traditional background. But I'm so used to the... It's not too big, but it would be perfect with a standing desk, as if you were painting on an easel. It would be perfect like that. But you have a lot of screen real estate, which is very, very good, even as a simple monitor. This is my main monitor right now. This is very good. But it's just that I'm way too used to the interiors, and I was never able to make the transition towards the Cintiq. But yeah, for line drawing, for traditional drawing, or for people that come from painting, this is the dream. But I just want to replace it by a nice 32-inch monitor. Yeah, this is the example of my art cave with different stuff. I had some examples like, give me a sec, I'm gonna open my Facebook. Holy shit. To show you a bit more my cave when I'm walking, but this is like a sacred space. I know that sacred space sounds a bit esoteric and stuff like that, but your practice place is your sacred space. Give me a sec. Where is that shit? Is there a way to find your videos? Anyways. Gonna scroll. This is from almost 1 year ago. It should be easy to... get back to it. Okay, I can't. Anyways, I was let me see if I probably have another video. Not good. All right. Anyways, whatever. Yeah, basically have your place. Next one. Play to your strength. Supreme focus. Mastery is like swimming. It is too difficult to move forward when we are creating our own resistance or swimming against the current. Know your strengths and move with them. This one is very important. We can't be perfect. We can be good on everything. So we need to... I really like that blue. We need to basically know where we are good at and focus on that. This is kind of tricky for me, for example, when I'm in the industry, because that's something I'm saying all the time, and I prepare the message that I need to send just after to a client for a job, the famous job I was talking about in those last day. But I'm doing my best to get them to understand, hey, you want me to do a simple artist job? I will be way, way, way more efficient as a manager rather than a simple artist. That means I won't produce art. If you allow me on my time to have like 2/3 of management and 1/3 of art, or just doing feedbacks and doing the documents and stuff like that, it will be better for me. I will enjoy it more, and you will get way, way more returns on your investment. This is kind of hard because you need to first be an artist before being a manager, at least in the common world. So it's kind of hard to get someone to trust you in the first place. But hey, let's give it a try. Because I know that I'll probably never be the best artist in the world. I don't have the technical stuff, and when you got me as a teacher, some of you already were actually better than me at drawing. I never shied away from that. But I know that my strength is in teaching and helping people becoming better. And this is my strength, rather than just being an artist. Same if I ever do my art product, I won't be the one drawing that. I will get people way better than me drawing for me, and I would just be the one thinking about it. I will be the mind, I will be the hands, basically. Same if you are, let's say you are good at character design, focus on that. Don't deny the rest, of course, but when it's time for you to specialize, focus on what you are good at. Don't focus on characters. Don't decide to specialize on characters if you are not good at it when you have to specialize. Focus on what you are good at. And then once you have your first job, you can then evolve and build the skills that you are lacking to develop the character design that you want. No problem. Just play by your strength. Next, transform yourself through practice, the fingertip feel. If we are learning a complex skill, such as flying a jet in combat, we must master a series of simple skills, one on the top of the other. Each time one skill becomes automatic, the mind is freed up to focus on the higher one. At the very end of this process, when there are no more simple skills to learn, the brain has assimilated an incredible amount of information, all of which has become internalized, part of our nervous system. So when something is big, when something is too big for you, it can be a task, it can be a skill to learn, it can be something to do, break that into smaller things and smaller things and smaller things until the atom if you need, but break that until this small bit you can handle it individually. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So basically you are eating a big process one tiny step at a time. That's exactly that. Same as learning a new skill. Let's say you want to learn Blender. You won't be able to focus on rendering and modeling and sculpting and lighting and shading and coding and geometry nodes at the same time. Learn one thing good, and once it's second nature from you, move on. Just focus on one thing at a time when you're learning. That's something I'm saying in my mentorship, by the way. Next, internalize the details, the life force. Seeing your work as something alive, your path to mastery is to study and absorb these details in a universal fashion, to the point at which you feel the life force and can express it effortlessly in your work. This one is a bit esoteric, but this is basically you need to become effortless in what you are doing. When what you are doing is becoming second nature, you know you master it. Example right now is that I'm discovering the text because it's just copy and paste from some resume that I trust. I've read in diagonal through it, but I can ramble, attach some examples, explain that in real time. That's because I know the subject. That's how you see that your work is autonomous, starting to work. Next, widen your vision, the global perspective. In any competitive environment in which there are winners and losers, the person who has the wider, more global perspective will inevitably win. The reason is simple. Such a person will be able to think beyond the moment and control the overall dynamic through careful strategizing. That's exactly what we said about people playing Overwatch, and they develop a vision of the game. They know when everyone is having their ultimate, when the enemy team is going to do what, and stuff like that. It's basically becoming omniscient about something. I notice I am good at environment design and illustration, but I am terrible at character design. I picked the latter because I thought it would be interesting to learn and do. Learning anatomy and doing poses is a really difficult and easy thing. I might have to rethink what I want to do. This is exactly what I did. I'm still shit at characters. I know to art direct characters, but in practice I'm better. I know to explain that, but not how to do them properly. But if you want to get a job as fast as possible, play by your strength. And guess what? It's easier to get a job in environment than character, by the way. Because there are so many people doing characters and so little people doing environments. You have less concurrence and you are in a bluer ocean doing environments. Doesn't mean that there's no room for for character designers, sorry. But it just means that it's a bit more harder. It's a bit harder to get there. Next, submit to the order. The inside-out perspective. We can never really experience what other people are experiencing. We always remain on the outside looking in. And this is the cause of so many misunderstandings and conflict. This one can be somewhat easy. Ask for feedback to people whom you trust. Your mentors. Your friends that you trust and respect. You need to respect someone to care about their feedback. You need to really respect someone. You cannot respect someone if you look down at that person. So look for feedback from people that you trust and respect. They will bring you points of view from a different angle than yours, and you need to welcome that. Same with prop design. Prop design is very cool. But to me, you need environment and props. Or character and props. You always need props, especially as a junior, because you will design a lot of them. So pick environment and props, character and props. If you want to be very niche and you are very, very good at that, creatures and props. I would say characters and creatures. Creature design is such a niche, it's so hard to get. It's possible I know two persons who did that. One of them, I completely forgot her name. I'm sorry. She was 2 years before me at school. And she basically designed most of the creatures in Baldur's Gate 3. I completely forgot her name. I'm sorry. Tanya Bursey. Tan Bursey? Yeah, Tan Bursey. She was only designing creatures and she worked on Divinity Original Sin 2. And she was always designing creatures all the time. All the time. Dragons and stuff like that. She was obsessed with that. Next one, synthesize all forms of knowledge, the universal person. In any way possible, you should strive to be a part of this universalizing process, extending your knowledge to other branches further and further out. Rich idea that would come from such a quest will be their own reward. That's basically always be curious, always gather more, always learn more. You will grab some treasures out of that. Yeah, she's super good and she's not sharing as many work as she's doing, of course. Because most of it is under NDA. And with this synthesize all forms of knowledge, it's also be around other masters at different stuff. Because they will bring to you and you will bring to them, and you together you can bring crazy stuff together and create crazy stuff. I consider myself to be the best at storytelling and managing people. But I want to team up with someone that is a master at character design, someone that is a master at environment, someone that is a master at animation and stuff like that, to build something crazy good. Everyone is playing up to their strength. They're basically building a team of Avengers. And that's it. We are done with this 3-part, incredibly long and intense presentation about Mastery by Robert Greene. Thank you, Paradox. You're just over. You're just done with the stream. You have to go when it's over. Nice. See you, buddy. On Sunday for D&D. But yeah, that's cool. So, any questions? Any remarks? Stuff like that? Talk, chimp. Next time we're going to talk about the compound effect. It's going to be the next book. By the way, do you like some book summaries and lectures? You appreciate that? I must say, I really like the fact that it's starting to become a conversation. I really like that. Anyways, I'm gonna end the stream pretty soon. If you want to ask a few questions or stuff like that, feel free. In the meantime, I'm gonna do the YouTube jazz. Feel free to like, subscribe on YouTube. Feel free to join us on Twitch. You can follow us on Twitch too. Subscribe on Twitch if you want to support my work. You can support me financially if you want. You can book some consults. Links down below. Feel free to join the Discord. We are building crazy good community. Like some nice conversations about some art stuff, business stuff, personal development, psychology and such. Very tight community. If you want to support my work with other means than just money, you can feel free to recommend the channel to people you think might benefit from it. Anyways, gonna go. Thank you so much, folks, for coming today. Not sure if I'm doing a stream tomorrow. I might be crunching a bit tomorrow. But in any case, we'll see each other next week probably. Or maybe before, maybe on Sunday evening we might do something. I don't know, not sure. We'll see. In any case, have a nice evening, have a nice weekend, guys, gals, and folks. Take care.